C9 doing their thing. So for this last game, TSM versus Cloud9, TSM actually wins this game. And it's a really interesting game because both teams have similar power spike timings. And it's the differences between those power spikes, the different strengths of each team that kind of decide the results of this game. And I think it's really cool to watch that. So I would almost argue that Cloud9 played this better at certain points. You know, both teams definitely make some mistakes in this game. Cloud9 definitely team fought better, but it's Team Solo Mid's really objective focused play and their rotations that work well for them and allow them to pull ahead in this game. So the draft is actually really relevant for how this game turns out. And let's go to YouTube.
I feel like if I went to watch a League of Legends game, I wouldn't want to wear a mask. Those
Okay.
two guys have fun.
So let's look at the team compositions, if we will. Okay. Excuse me. So what are the strengths of each of these teams? Well, C9 definitely by far has better team fight. They're really mobile, which is helpful in team fights. And they've got this Fiddlesticks and this Leona, which basically adds up to winning fights every time. In the late game, honestly, Leona is stronger than Annie because, she's so tanky. If Annie initiates on Leona or on, any of the members of Leona's team, they're like, well, I don't care, dude. Especially with this popular Ezreal Leona lane, because Ezreal is so mobile, it's hard to get a Tibbers on him. So, they've got team fight power. And then the strength of TSM's composition, it's not immediately obvious. They've got this assassination potential, but it's actually going to be pretty hard to use unless they've got a lead, because, all of C9 is so slippery or tanky that it's just hard to engage on them, even with LeBlanc or Vi. Which you have to give credit to C9 for creating a team composition that is hard to engage on with TSM's picks. But it's really the map pressure that is TSM's unique strength in this game. Specifically this Mundo with teleport. And I think they could have even used it better than they did. But basically just their really good rotations and map pressure that they put down allow them to kind of even when C9's winning fights, ultimately come out ahead in trades. And one of C9's kind of biggest weaknesses shows in this game, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But let's fast forward to stuff. So this is just a couple minutes into the game. It's actually the same bot lane matchup in this game as it was before, which is kind of interesting because these are just some of the most popular champions right now, some of the best bottom lane synergies in the game. So 30 seconds forward. 5:01 30. Let's just skip forward a little bit. Maybe, if it will stop lagging. Yeah, give it a minute. Maybe. Well, anyway, I guess it works if I fast forward. How about that? But basically what I want to talk about is this bottom lane matchup. So, you've got the same top lane matchup this game. And Balls is playing it the same way, but actually, this is where I give Coast a lot of credit. Because they played this exact same lane matchup better than TSM. Because throughout this lane phase, Cloud9 is a lot less zoned than they were against Coast. They have a lot easier of a time dealing with that, and that actually is pretty important because it gives TSM less power windows to use, and it helps keep Cloud9 in the game for sure. Oh, well, you couldn't see any of that because I didn't change the layers. My bad. I was basically just showing. You want to go back and see it? It was some bottom lane stuff. Yep, C9 and Sneaky and Lemon just not being zoned in bottom. Good for them. Okay. So the next thing is a few minutes later, when I think they're starting to get to level 6 here. Yeah, so this is actually where Meteos hits level 6. An important timing to know as a jungler is 90% of the time, probably more than that, on your second round of buffs. So the total third buff you take after your first blue and your red, then if you take blue first, then you're going to hit level 6 on that or a little bit before it. And then or if you take red, you're going to hit level 6 a little bit before it or after, or when you take it. And that's important to know as far as planning your jungle routes. But Meteos hits level 6 and he immediately uses that. So first of all, we notice C9 not as zoned out this time. They're not at that level disadvantage that they were before. So they're able to push up this bottom lane, and TSM are letting them because they're afraid of the all-in from Ezreal and Leona. So let's watch Meteos, because what he's going to do is he's going to walk into the jungle and just sit in this brush right here. And I think he probably could have used his time a little more effectively. I don't like that he just sits there for so long. But he's like, okay, I'm level 6, I'm going to make a play. And this play ends up working out pretty well. Meteos does waste quite a bit of its time, but it ends up working out because what's going to happen is because C9's bottom lane gets pushed up here, Lemonation is actually going to be able to roam and join Meteos. And they're going to gank the odd one as he walks by over here. They don't even get the kill on him, but they get him low. And the important thing about that is that the odd one has smite. Junglers around this period of level 6 where everyone's hitting level 6, they're probably the strongest members in the game because they have the smite, because jungler ultimates are generally pretty powerful. So what they do is gank right here, the fear onto odd one, then they jump on him with Zenith Blade and lock him up. They force his flash and he's low. So C9 at this point, they have control of the bottom lane, the mid lane, and the jungle, and the odd one has to go back. So C9 just rotate and take this dragon super easily, and there's nothing that TSM can even do about it. So really good shot calling there. Really good decision by Meteos to, it wasn't even the level 6 that allowed him to do that, but he's obviously a lot more confident about that play at level 6. Because he has the potential, of course, to secure a kill or multiple kills. And if a team fight breaks out, he can win that for his team. So, it didn't end up being his ultimate that was the difference in that, but it's definitely important that he was level 6 there because of all the different possibilities that can happen at that level 6. So, and I think it was smart that TSM didn't all group up there and then go into a 5v5 team fight against a Fiddle. So, just 4 minutes later, I believe this is on the bottom lane. Yeah. So, in theory, on this bottom lane, if we look at it, C9's all-in is stronger because they've got that Solar Flare into the True Shot Barrage, and then Ezreal just Arcane shifting in and getting a Mystic Shot. But really big play by Xpecial here. So Elimination goes in. They get Wild Turtle really low, but in this back here, Xpecial actually just stuns up Sneaky, so he can't get in. And oh, hi. What's up?
Just saying hi, I'm home. You can stay here.
Okay.
I'll be in bed soon.
Okay. So yeah, Sneaky was locked up in the back, and he couldn't. They could have easily secured a kill on Wild Turtle if they, if he'd been able to go in. But Xpecial basically just solo Sneaky here. The ultimate does hit from Caitlyn, but they get that first blood just from a huge play from Xpecial. It was really awesome that Xpecial realized, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna try to peel this Leona off of my carry. Instead, I'm gonna go for their carry. Really good decision making, and that's honestly one of the things that makes Xpecial one of the better players in North America for sure. Because like I said, his early lane phase maybe wasn't as strong as Coast's, but his decision making in the late game, is what separates the best teams from the good teams, specifically in North America. Because, teams like Curse and Coast, they're really strong in the lane phase. They are mechanically extremely skilled, but then they just get, even if they outplay in the lane phase, they lose in the late game because teams like C9 and TSM are so much crisper and stronger in their decision making and their play calling. So anyway, that's kind of a power spike turned on its head, where theoretically C9 was stronger there, but a good play from TSM, just like in the last game where good plays from C9 kept Coast from using their power spike, a good play from TSM kept TSM's bottom lane kept C9's bottom lane from going all in there and winning that fight. So then let's go forward like just a minute basically. And what we're going to see is TSM has an advantage in this bottom lane. They have the tower finished here. So they're actually, if you look at the items, I think Wild Turtle just finished his Bloodthirster. Yeah, he just finished his Bloodthirster, where Sneaky, he's actually going for a Bloodthirster this game, so he's behind because he hasn't finished his yet. So they're going to group up in this mid lane with 5 people and use that advantage to start putting pressure on the map. This Bloodthirster is actually a huge power spike for AD carries because it gives them so much tower pushing potential. They can take down towers extremely quickly. So definitely good for them. I think, if they had taken down that bottom tower but the Bloodthirster wasn't finished yet, I think they might not have even rotated to the mid. So yeah, TSM grouped up here, and they don't get this tower yet. But because they rotated just a little bit quicker than C9, they get a lot of damage down, and tower damage is really valuable. I think I talked about this last week, but basically, tower damage is basically potential gold in your pocket. Eventually that tower is going to go down, and if you get damage on it, it's just able to get down a little quicker. So basically, tower damage is map pressure. Tower damage is equal to map pressure, and that's really important to note. So at this point in the game, this is where C9 wants to be forcing team fights. They're a little bit behind. Well, not even behind. It's actually pretty even. But they want to be forcing those team fights, and this is where TSM actually, I think, misplays a little bit. But it comes down to basically this teleport split push pressure from Dyrus being a factor versus C9's